Selamat Internet, and the urban hiker is at it once again. Today we're going to take a walk up what's called Dundaff Street here in Carbondale, and as you can see from the map, it either goes up to the top of the hill or it goes down over the hill into a little town called Simpson. Since I'm making this video before I've actually done the walk, you're going to know by the map whether or not or which way we went. So right now I don't know which way we're going, but when we get to the top we'll either decide to come back down the same way or head down into Simpson. So this should be a walk of between 10 and 15 kilometers. I'm not really sure of the distance. I've never actually done it on foot before. Normally I do it on a bicycle or in a car if I do it at all. So anyway, here we go. It's a longer walk. It's a nice day in May here in Carbondale. Our route is taking us through downtown Carbondale, and then we're going to take one of the 3 hills out of town that I mentioned in another video, which you can see in the link at the top of the screen. That I think his video is called the Canaan Street Walk. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this one, probably the Dundaff Street Walk. It's also the steepest hill out of town. When I make these videos in Kuala Lumpur, I'm kind of self-conscious when I'm out wandering around on the streets just talking to the camera. But I've sort of gotten used to it because I know that most of the people that go by or that hear me don't know what I'm talking about or even understand what I'm saying, because the level of English is very low there, at least out on the street. Here, however, in the United States, everybody understands what I'm talking about, and I'm kind of self-conscious about it. I haven't figured out, or I haven't gotten used to it yet. Let's put it that way. So I'm just going to have to ignore it, or else rely on my natural charm to do it. But this is going to be a long walk. We're almost out of town. In fact, we're on the road that leads up the hill right now. As you can see, there's not too much traffic. And we're heading uphill. I'm breathing heavier. And I'm not really sure how far this walk is going to be today, but we'll find out in a little while. This first part of the hill is very steep. And normally, like I said, I do this on a bicycle, and it's at least a 9 to 12% grade, and it's murder on a bike. It's not that bad walking, but it's 22 degrees now. It's a little bit warm, and it is steep. I mean, even walking, it's steep, but it's much worse on a bike. But the good part is when you get to the top, just like on a bicycle, it's all downhill from there. Usually by the time you get to this point on a bicycle, you think you've reached the top of this hill, but you haven't. This hill has 3 phases to it. The first phase is right at the bottom. It's very steep, but it's short. The second phase is fairly long, but it's not so steep. This last phase is sort of medium length in between the first 2, but it's also got its really steep parts. So we're about to enter, as you can see behind me, the 3rd phase. This will be probably the longest or the hardest part of the walk up the hill. And then coming down, of course, on the other side is much easier. Wow. I don't know what made me think that walking up that hill was going to be easier than riding it. But it certainly wasn't. It was just as hard. The only problem with walking up the hill is that it takes 10 times longer to do it. So you're sweating your brains out and breathing heavy the whole time. So the next time I walk up that hill, it'll probably, or not walk it up, but go up that hill, it'll probably be on a bicycle. I also had a bit of adventure just now. I didn't tape it, or I didn't record it. I was stopped by the police, 3 police cars by the way, on this rural road. Now you might be wondering why I was stopped by the police. I'm sure that I was wondering also when they stopped me, but apparently they're looking for someone with a backpack who killed 2 people in Connecticut over the weekend. And my sister and I were in Connecticut over the weekend, and we heard about this on the TV when we got home. But apparently the police think that he's heading towards this area, and somebody said, you know, there's somebody suspicious with a backpack, and they phoned the police. Now, I guess it's totally normal for somebody to do that, because the roads I'm walking on, you don't really see people walking on these roads. They're actually roads for cars. They're out really in the middle of nowhere. For the next 4 or 5 kilometers, I'm going to be pretty much the only thing on this road unless a car goes by. So when somebody sees me out walking, it's natural to assume I may not be a criminal, but it certainly is suspicious. Anyway, that was the day of adventure. Unfortunately, not recorded for this walk. This road that I'm walking on now is locally known as the Owego Turnpike. It's a very steep road. It's about 5 kilometers long. It's almost as long as the Dundaff road that I took to get up to the top of this hill. It's just marginally shorter, but it's much steeper. It's a real test of your cycling strength if you can cycle up this road, and I've done it several times. It's not a pleasant experience. It's very difficult to do. But I'm finding out that walking down this hill really hurts your knees. So I'm hoping to get to the bottom of it sooner than later. Probably still another 4 kms before I get down to the bottom. Once I get there, I'm going to be in Simpson. And from Simpson, it's a, well, I guess I should say a long walk back to Carbondale, where the walk started. Whenever you're coming down this hill on a bicycle and you reach this point, that bit up there looks like it just drops off into nothing. I mean, intellectually you know that the road continues, but if you just imagine hitting that on a bicycle and just going off into the air, it really does look like it goes into, the road just drops off there. It doesn't. It gets really steep, and we're going to walk down it in a few minutes. By the time you get here on the hill on a descent on a bicycle, your forearms are already sore. They're probably as big as your thighs, because all you're doing is holding onto the brakes, trying to keep yourself from flying out of control. Hills like this are hard going up and hard coming down. There's just no way to avoid it. You know, people that ride bicycles have this idyllic idea that going downhill, they just sort of sit on the bike and steer. And anybody that does that usually only does it once, because either they learn their lesson or they kill themselves, one or the other. But going down this hill requires a lot of expertise and a lot of upper body strength, because if your forearms can't handle the brakes, then you are going to get hurt. This portion of the road is probably maybe 150 meters long, but it is without doubt the steepest part. This is easily a 15% grade. And when you hit this portion, you want to be going slow enough, and you're going to just hang on to the brakes until you get to the bottom, because your main goal is to be able to stop when you get to the end, because this road empties into main road in the area. So if you don't stop and you just keep on going, you're going to get squished by a car. Also, you have to be watching out for loose gravel, things like that. But the idea on this last stretch is just to go slow and try to be stopping most of the time. All right, this is the bottom of the hill. We're now back in the valley, and we're in a little town called Simpson. And what we're going to do is bear right here, stay along this road until we get back into Carbondale. That road takes us directly to Carbondale. I'm thinking that it's about another 4 or 5 kilometers and we should be there. Okay, we are on a familiar trail now. This is the Lackawanna Heritage Trail, and I got on this right in Simpson. I'm going to follow this back into Carbondale, where we will end our walk at the Carbondale YMCA, exactly where we started it. And I'm hoping that's going to be in another 3 or 4 kms. Right about now I have lost all energy. I need some food. I didn't bring any with me. I've got water. But right now I'm just tired walking. Okay, my phone says we're already at 13 kilometers for this walk. And I still think we have another 3 or 4 to go. So it's bound to be at least 15 kilometers, but I'll take a screenshot of my phone and stick it at the end of the video. This is, normally 15 kilometers is not that far to walk. I mean, some people might think it's a long way. It's not really. I think the reason I'm so tired is because we had that big hill very early in the walk. So that pretty much tired me out. My knees are hurting from coming down the hill, and my hips are hurting from going up the hill. So right about now I just have to make it back to the house, grab a cup of coffee, and take it easy for the rest of the day. You know, it's funny how you don't put certain things together until you actually do them. I guess that's what experience is all about. But when you ride your bike up a hill like the Dundaff Hill, it's all legs on the way up and pretty much all arms on the way down. If you walk the same hill then down the other side, it's all legs. Your upper body does practically nothing on a walk like that. So it's probably harder to walk than it is to ride. But I'll have to think about this some more. I don't know if you can see this, but it looks like snow, but it's actually dandelion seeds flying around. I guess it's that time of the year. I'm at the park behind the YMCA, and I think I'm going to end the walk here. Thanks for watching, and please watch next week when the Urban Hiker does something else. Thanks for watching.